Hello, everyone. Trying sound here. So we have sound, and welcome to this Sunday School webinar, which will get started here in 1 minute. Okay, welcome everyone to this Sunday School webinar. And as you know by now, probably, if you've been here before, we have these every Sunday. So this is for you and your team so that you can develop yourself and helping your team to develop themselves. We talk a lot about your personal development. This is the key to all successful people. They do a lot of personal development. And the thing is that they continue to develop themselves, they never stop. Because sometimes our ego could get in the way and tell us that we know it all or we have everything under control. And that's not the case because we're living in a universe where there's one thing that's certain, and that is change. There's change. Everything is in movement. Everything is moving all the time. From the little atom, if you go down to the the neutrons and in the atoms, everything is moving. The electrons is swirling around, and the building stocks is in this energetic universe never stand still. So everything is changing all the time. That's why we need to be in change ourselves. Otherwise, we will stand still and nothing will happen. So I borrowed this from the awesome Robert Kiyosaki, which I have the pleasure to did some business with many years ago. I was supposed to actually uh, own the rights for his books in part of Europe. Anyway, I borrowed this statement because I think it fits in what we're doing here, as you can see. And he says, so that's not me, you know, all successful people know this. Focus first on your education, then the money will follow. And people who focus the opposite way, they focus on the money and they will get some money, but they will, in hardly any case, keep the money because they focus on the money first and not on the education. So they will miss out something. And I do some citation from Jim Rohn, Jim, the great one, and the statement that he says very often, or he said very often, was that if you make a million, you better become a millionaire fast. So what he means is that you can actually make a million, but you don't have the mindset of a millionaire. So you better become a millionaire if you want to keep the money. So that's what we are, and that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about today. And this is the one you can write down, you can have it in your notebook, because it's so true. You got to be before you can do. So before you're going to do something, you got to be first. And what it means is that the information that you have, and we're talking about our conscious and our subconscious mind. I will do that a little later here in the webinar as well. But the all 95% of your decisions is made in your subconscious mind. So that's where you should be. That's where you are. That's who you are. The sum of all your thinking up until today led you here. And if you want to change something, you got to change the way you think. So you got to be before you can do, and then you got to do before you can have. Most people, they want to have before they do. They want to take a shortcut, and shortcuts, no, doesn't work. And you got to have before you can give. And this means so much. It doesn't only mean that you can give to charity, if that was you were thinking, or it means everything. It means you can't give information that you don't have. You can't give knowledge that you don't have. You can't give love if you don't carry around, if you're a loving person. You can't give sympathy or empathy. You can't give nothing that you not have yourself. That's why leadership is so important. That's why you should always be working with people who have good hearts and are caring for people, and they want their best, because usually people give what they have you know but remember, the love is always in the eyes of the beholder. Write that down. Anyway, so here we are. Why people don't succeed. If we have these webinars, and there's so many books, and there's so many other webinars and information out there, and so why don't people succeed? If it's easy to do, because it's easy not to. You got to get this in your head. You got to get this in like a foundation, that you and all the people that you're working with, they they are trying to take a shortcut. Why do I know? What you can see the attendance at webinars, you can see the attendance at stuff that's going on. Why is people not there? Because they don't know their best for themselves. They have a wrong programming. They're programmed in a wrong way. So they actually use the information that they have and make those 95% of those calls, the decisions they make, and they don't do it. What am I talking about? Everything. I'm talking about everything from being on this webinar, to reading books, to attend other stuff, to call with people, to interact, everything. People don't succeed even if it's easy to do, because it's so easy not to. It's even easier. And haven't you asked yourself sometimes, when you work in any industry, sales, mostly sales, because there's where you can clearly see people are trying to take shortcuts. For instance, you do an invitation. You said, hey, this is going on, I want you to be there, or I want you to do this, or and they don't. Haven't you asked yourself, why is that? Why is it that the people have a chance to change their life, and you give them an opportunity, you give them a way out, and they don't? It's because of their programming. Your best thinking got you where you are today. Same for all people. You can't blame no one because you can only go back to yourself and say, who's been on the crime scene every time stuff is happening? You. So, I mean, I had my mentor, he was smart. He said, Peter, if you don't like the situation you're in, move. You're not a tree, are you? You don't have roots, you know? So we are human beings. We can be something today. We can take in information. We don't have to be who we are. We can change. Wow. And this is how it works. For you, if you're new here to Sunday school, we talk a lot about the mind and thinking and principles, and this is an easy way to explain how it works. And most of you already know this, but it's so good to to do repetition. So we are the sum of all our thoughts up until today. There's no other way. There's no other way, because thoughts are things. To think is to create. You can't get away from that 100% principle. So where you are, where you're not, or who you are, or what you have, or what you don't have, is the sum of all your thinking up until today. So it works like this. We wake up in the morning, and what kind of thoughts do we have? Are they randomly? No. We're like we're like cows. They're standing in the field and chewing on grass for hours, but we are chewing on our thoughts. What thoughts, you're saying? The one you have been using up until today. What? Is is that the way? Yes, that's the way it works. Can't work in another way. If you don't put in some new information, you gotta, if you want to have some new thinking, then you gotta put in some new, like when you're sitting on these webinars, you will be getting new stuff that you never heard before, and maybe you heard it but you didn't listen last time. So that's how it works. We can't get all information, and our brain is made up of neurons, trillions of neurons that connect with each other and sending information each day. Those are the thoughts, those are the thinking. And we get those uh, pictures in our mind through observing around us, through our eyes, our ears, our smell, our senses. So that's where we get our thinking from. Then if a problem occurs during the day, this is how it works. We're walking and we're know going through our day, working, doing something. Then a problem occurs. The problem will create, if you're not a successful personal developmenter, that you're in control of your thinking. You remember last week we talked about controlling your thinking, taking control of that. You can control your thinking. Yes, you can. The thoughts are there, of course, but you can in the now control your thinking. But most people don't realize that, so they fall into the trap. So the problem will create a feeling, mostly a bad feeling for most people, because they go like, oh no, instead of going, yes, a problem that I'm gonna solve. You see the difference? If you cry a little bit, or you go like, this is a problem, this is good because I grow in problems. Problems is part of the equation. So the feeling you get from the problem will decide your action or no action. So some people, they have a problem and they stop taking action, which will create a result. So you can use this on anything. It's a beautiful principle made up how it works, and you can go into the different blocks, and you can see yourself the where If you change anything in a block, the other block will change. So where is the best way to change, you think? Is it in at result, or is it in the first thought? You figure that out. Okay. You can even go into the feeling block and change it, because feelings are not permanent. Feelings come from thinking. Like I learned many years ago, also from a mentor. He said, that your feelings is a product of your thinking. The thinking comes before the feeling. So it's better to act your way into new feeling than to feel your way into new acting, because your thinking will create your feelings. Feelings does not appear randomly out of nowhere. They come from somewhere. So the way you see at a certain situation will create your feelings. Okay, guys, this is a $1 billion session. I hope you get something out of this, because wow, this is so important and so valuable. So there we have it. Your core belief system is what you really think about things. That's what you need to be changed. And you go like, so how do I change that? By reading and listening and taking action on what you read and listening. And you can change your core belief system without action. Actually, you can just read and listen and programming yourself through repetition and through emotional involvement. So if you go back to the block that we have, why fear is the number one success killer. Why you can't walk around be fearful. There's no success. I know bad stuff is happening. I know bad stuff is happening every day to people. It doesn't give you the right to be fearful. Well, you can. It's your choice, but you don't have to. Fear is an illusion. Danger is real. Write that down. Fear is thinking. Fear is a feeling, it's emotion. And the old acronym, the false evidence appear real. And that's so true, because fear is just, my mentor, he explained, he said, Peter, if you don't realize that fear does not exist, he said, go out and get me a bucket of fear. And I said, well, I can't do that. Of course you can't, because fear only exists as an illusion in your mind. Danger is real. Fear is created by ourselves. That's why there's no escape. So who you are today is a result of you. Because most people want to blame other people and say, oh, it's not my fault. He did it, they did it, or, this happened. Yeah, things happen, but you are still in charge of what you react to what happened. Do you respond or do you react? There's a big difference. There's a whole webinar we can do on just respond and react. But look those two words up and you see the difference. So, but there's a great way of acting your way out of situation. You can think your way out of your situation because your thinking will, determine your action, but you can also act your way out of a situation. But you are a result of all your thinking up until today. And this, we use this I love this. I love this because it helps me to see and understand how easy it is. My choices. Every day we make choices. Every day we make thousands of choices, or maybe 100. or maybe 10. I don't know. It depends on who you are. But you made the choice. You think, but you're not. Because 95% of your choices is already made in your subconscious mind. So when you're standing in a situation, your subconscious go like, oh, whoop, this is not good. We better flee. Because that's what you've been programming with. So 95% of your choices is made in your subconscious. That's where you need to change. You need to put some new information in there. Like maybe the first time you ever heard that problem is good was here. I don't know. Maybe you heard it from someone else, but if you program yourself that problems is good because you grow and you need to make a decision, then your subconscious will act on that thinking. But you need to reprogram yourself because we all have been programmed by the way we grew up through our parents, the school, the system, the country we're in, the media. Media, listen. Have you ever seen mainstream media come out with any positive at all? Or is it just mind control, fear? It's all fear. It's never solution based. It's all fear based. It's all every time, you know, it's like, blah, 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 oh, you got to be scared. Oh, look at it. Never solution made, or hardly never. So that, and you live in this environment with media around your, it's commercials, there's uh, company structures and governments that try to um, convince you about stuff, programming you. Why do you think it's called TV program? Because it's one way of programming your mind. The TV will program you. So you better watch out what you're watching, okay? Anyway, so you're in a situation, you are the captain on the ship. You will make the decisions. And in the beginning, if we understand this principles, you can use discipline to override your old programming. That's why discipline is so important. It's number one because there's no growth without discipline. You override your own thinking because your old thinking will say, no, don't do this, or you can't do it, or you don't have time, or you're too old, or no, 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 go back home and rest a little bit first. Then you override that old thinking and say, no, I'm going to do it right now. I'm taking action now. This is the program of taking action now, not tomorrow, because tomorrow will never come. There's only now. There's only here now. What are you saying? Yeah, you can only live in the now. How can you live in tomorrow or yesterday, or it's impossible. You can only live in the now. So the change is in the now. It's here right now. You made the decision. You take control. You're in charge. I'm telling you, this is a $1 billion session. If you get this, wow, you can do anything in almost and have anything in life if you just get this. But this is the thing. We separate ourselves from the crowd. We separate ourselves from the herd, the sheep, the sheeple. They're letting themselves program. And when you do that, you feel pretty much alone. But that's the walk that make you the strongest person. So don't feel let down or go into a lot of bad thinking will lead to bad feelings because it's good to be alone in the beginning, but then you will meet people on the way that are the same way as you are. But this is the purpose. This is us. This is why we're here. And listen, even though we know the 80-20 rule, we know that everyone has the opportunity. Everyone it's giving the opportunity. But like someone said, many are called, but few are chosen. Think about that. Many, maybe everyone is called, but few are chosen. And the few chosen, they choose themselves. They make the decision to be one of the chosen. Yeah, that was $100 million in just that sentence I gave you right now. So unsuccessful people, they have a habit of dwell on the circumstances they don't want. How stupid is that? I know, but they're not stupid. They just don't know. They don't have the information. So that's where you come in the picture. You have to teach the people you work with that if you want to be successful, don't dwell on the circumstance you don't want. You got to dwell on the circumstance you want. And what people do, they focus more on problems than solutions. And again, why? Because that's the way we're programmed. Because it's easier to control a person that are full of fear than a person that in control of his own or her thinking. That's another one. Wow. So this is how it works, guys. People dwell on thinking of stuff that already happened. Yesterday's worries, instead of being in now. What happened, happened. You're in the now. You can only change here. You can only change where you are right now. You can't go back and change the stuff, unfortunately. So that's the way it works. But so much stuff had happened. You say, yeah, I know. It happens for everyone. There's a lot of stuff happens, but you can only change now. You can only change right now. So it's a thing of having a good now, then you can become a better in the next now. But what people do, they carry around a load of worries and like a bag of worries that they take a look at every day. You know who they are. Those are the people who just keep on dwelling on problems instead of changing the situation they're in now. Yeah, but he said that and he did that and that happened and you know, will not help them, will not help you, will not help anyone. There's no solution in that thinking. So what they need to do instead of dwell on the problem is change. Change the way they think about what happened and then change in the now. Do something. Some people don't understand that even though there's only the now to live in, they live in the future. They either live in the past or they live in the future. What's gonna come? Or maybe this is gonna happen. Or when I'm going to the dentist next week, I'm not gonna feel well, and then maybe I'm gonna be sick next week. So they have all this bad thinking in the now, which will destroy the now. It's not only what happened before that affects us, it's what we think will happen. So we're destroying our now because you can only hold one thought at a time. You can only have one thought. So if you're going into some projection of what's going to happen, you're destroying your now. And you go like, what? I don't understand. Well, listen, that's why you need to have your goals and your plan and your action plan. So you take action. Whatever happens, you have a plan. Whatever happens, you have a plan. You stick to the plan. You live in the now. You take control of your thinking. And I already mentioned this, that the 95% of our decisions is made in a subconscious mind. So that's where we need to change. We need to just get rid of the old thinking and put some new thinking inside ourselves. And that's what you're doing right now. You're at the right place at the right time. And listen, how much have you got through this webinar for this 20, 30 minutes? More than you got the whole year, probably, but you don't realize it because it's so packed with information that can bring you success and glory and serenity and stuff if you just get these points, you know. And the thing is, I wish that everyone would understand and be on these webinars and listening and take in the great information that you're getting for free. But listen, I'm not called to everyone, to everybody, but I'm called to somebody. So it's got to be someone, and a couple of guys, or maybe a couple of hundred, or maybe 1,000, I don't know, who get the information. So you see how it works? There's a communication. I give out the information. I'm not responsible for the receiver because the receiver made up his own choices. If you're going to use this or not, if you're going to believe this or not. Some people go into webinars like these and go, oh, I don't believe in this. Oh, you don't have to. But these are principles that never change, will be the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And this is a leadership webinar. This is where we grind ourselves. We take in information, we start changing, we start doing things differently, and the change will come. But this is so true, Leadership cannot be given, it must be earned. But it can also not be taken away because you lose by lack of performance. So no one is taking the leadership away from anyone. They're just losing themselves because they make the decision by not doing stuff. Woo-hoo. Wow, this has been such a great webinar. It's unbelievable. And it is about creating habits. It is about having great habits. And I can see people, that they attend every Sunday, because they realize the importance of the motivation, the inspiration, the information, the stuff that comes here every Sunday. They realize that the importance of these things that we talk about. So they create a habit. Then you have to build your team and helping them create their habits. But you can't help someone who doesn't want to get helped. That's the way it is. But your habits is always related to your core belief system. What your core belief is what you really think. So that's where it starts. You start creating new habits. And that's why action always beats intention. People, they intend to get rich. People intend to change themselves. People have intent, they intend to do things, but they don't because they don't take action. Action always beats intention. The people, the almost people, they almost got rich, they almost became happy, they almost lost weight, they almost won the lottery, they almost, they live in the land of almost. I almost made that. I almost did it. I almost, that's not what we do. We live in the land of utmost. We are the utmost thinkers. We are the utmost because we take action. We take action. And these are the three things. If you haven't listened to anything during this webinar, take these three things down, because these are the three things that you need to change. You need an open mind, you need honesty, and you need willingness. And I will go, this is a webinar in itself, but I go through these three real quick. An open mind means that you don't have to believe everything I say. You can just say, well, I don't understand it today, so I'll leave it open to my better understanding tomorrow or next week. Maybe I understand it then. But if you close your mind, a closed mind is what? It's closed. So there can't come in new information. An open mind, it's like, okay. Doesn't mean that, oh, I'm going to buy into everything people say. No. It means that you have an open mind, means that you say, okay, I have the humility to understand I don't know it all. So that's why I have an open mind. I say, I'll leave it for now, see what happens later. Honesty is honesty to yourself. So honesty is because some people, they connect honesty with honesty to other people, of course, but that comes from being honest to yourself. If you are honest to yourself, you will be honest to other people. That's where it starts. But if you're not honest to yourself, you lie to yourself, you will lie to other people. And willingness to do the things, the hard things, willingness to practice discipline, willingness to listen, willingness in everything. So these are the three things that will change your core belief system. Action is the fear killer. Every time people are scared, they don't know how easy it is to just take action and fear goes away. With that, I finished this webinar today because it was such an incredible amount of information. And I say, guys, wow, if you just get one thing or two things out of what I talked about today, it will change your life. And I know it will. And that's why go out in the world and help people change. Because you're not here to make a living. You're here to make a difference. Go out in the world, be prosperous, joyous, happy, and free. But most of all, free. I see you guys next Sunday.